Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do something a bit different. So recently I uploaded a review for Jack Ketchum's book The Girl Next Door, and I found a really good copy at a really good price of the movie. You can usually find this really expensive online, but I found it at a really good price, and I recently watched it, and I just thought it'd be a kind of a interesting video to compare the book to the movie. I'm not going to review these as such. I am going to discuss them obviously, but if you want to know what The Girl Next Door is all about, then please watch my video. I'll have it linked down below. But like a review video, this is going to be a spoiler-free thing as well, so I have no worries about that. And that's for both the book and the movie. So before I get into this, I just want to once again touch on the fact that the events in both the book and the movie are based on the real life events of what happened to a real life girl called Sylvia Likens. What she went through wasn't just torture or hell on earth. It was horrific for what you can do to another human being. We are cruel as a species, we really are. We should really love and embrace each other, but deep down we have all that, hatred and anger and desire to hurt each other. So in a nutshell, what The Girl Next Door is all about is about a young girl who stays at a house with a group of family members that aren't related to her, but they end up torturing her and abusing her. It's very uncomfortable to read, but it's very important to read, I feel, because of the fact that it's based on a real life event. Because it's a fictional portrayal of Sylvia Likens' case, there are things in it which are only fictional, but if you are familiar about what happened to Sylvia, then you will notice the differences, or not the differences, the same things that they did to Meg, which is the character that betrays Sylvia Likens. So yeah, once again, I'll have my video linked down below, so please check it out. So first off, if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes. So the novel was published in 1989 and the movie was released in 2007 and is about 1 hour and 30 minutes long. And because I'm going to be saying people's names, to avoid me mispronouncing people's names, which I probably will, I'll have them up on the screen so you can read them. So the director of the movie is a guy called Gregory Wilson. Not sure what else he's directed. And the main cast is Adult David is played by William Atherton, and the young David, which is for the majority of the story, is played by someone called Daniel. I can't see his surname, but it'll be on the screen somewhere. Also, David is our main narrator for the book. For the movie, not as such. It's not really much of a narrative. Adult David does a bit of a narration at the beginning and end of the movie, but young David, he doesn't really do narration. We see it through his eyes, not through his monologue or speech or whatever. Meg is played by someone called Bethel, I think. I'm terrible with names, I really am. It'll be on the screen somewhere. Susan is played by Madeline Taylor, and Ruth is played by Blanche Baker. Now, when it comes to comparing the two, I'm going to be comparing the story of each of these. The story between the both of them are, obviously, you get more story within the book itself. The movie hits on all the main points, but I feel that it's more of a slightly diluted version. It doesn't really miss things that happened in the book. It just feels that something's missing. It feels like there's something missing within the story, but you can't put your finger on it. But they are both really good stories. They really are. But obviously the book is much better, in my personal opinion. So the main characters are the people that I've just mentioned. They are kind of a mixed bag in this. Adult David is brilliant in this portrayal, and we see him like rescuing a homeless man that's about to be run over by a car, or been run over by a car or a truck or some vehicle. And we see that more gentler side, because this was brought up in an interview in the book by Jack Ketchum, the author, is that how can you connect with and find sympathy for a character which is our main narrator? David is our main narrator in this book. And how can you find sympathy for someone that is taking part in this, that isn't like doing anything to prevent and stop this abuse of Meg? And people are like really hating towards his character, you know, young David, which he is a good actor in this. He's not really any good at the start, but as the story progresses, he gets more and more into the role, and he does his best. He's a little kid, but he does his best. Most people think that David could have stopped and prevented this torture of Meg right at the start by telling maybe the police or his parents. But really, when you're all small and a little kid, adults really don't believe kids. They think that they're making a lot of stuff up, and I don't really think that it would have helped that much. I think that in Sylvia Likens' case, there wasn't really a David character. I think that Jack put a David character in this book for, you know, narration purposes. Meg, at the start, like David, she's a very whimsical and okay actress. She's nothing special, but as the story goes on, she does come into her own, and she does, yeah. I mean, you feel sorry for her when she's been tortured and having all this stuff done to her, and yeah, she's just a really good actress as the thing goes on. Susan, which is Meg's sister, because she has these kind of leg braces on her, like Forrest Gump, when Ruth is punishing her and spanking her, and you're like, why, you horrible human being? You're like physically assaulting this girl that's, one, helpless, and two, disabled, and you're probably causing her more pain. But the actress that plays Susan, she's okay. She doesn't go through much of a character arc, but she's more of a supporting character than Meg. Susan's mostly in the background, putting up with what Ruth and the household are doing to her sister. I mean, Ruth is pretty much exactly the same in the book and in the movie. They're both pretty much exactly the same. The actress that plays Ruth in the movie, she's very good. She's very good because she starts off really looking really like pretty and proper and civilized. And as the story goes on, she deteriorates and looks more and more worn down and tired. And at the start, when she's talking to Meg, her body posture and her face look all really nice and sweet, but her eyes, I mean, when you watch this, look at Ruth's eyes. They are dead. They are like saying to Meg that if you cross me, I'm gonna freaking get you. You feel, looking in Ruth's eyes, you feel that, okay, well, there's something there. I just don't want to like overstep that line. And she is brilliant in this movie. She really is. You really feel the hatred and anger towards this character. But at the same time, it's a role that she's portraying, but she does it really, really well. Now, the side characters, which I will gently touch on, are mostly the kids, the parents, and the supporting actresses and actors, like the police officers, the other adults, and other people within the community. Basically, the background actors. The kids in Ruth's household are okay. We don't really get to know them individually. They're more of a massive bulk, if that made any sense. We don't really connect. Well, I didn't really connect with any of them, both within the book and the movie. But they're just there because they need to be. The parents are okay. Because this is set in the 50s, I suppose things were different there because the husbands treat their wives like trash, like, oh, go and get me a coffee and, is there any more coffee? Go and get me some, and or do this and do that, and why aren't you cleaning the house? And you're like, dude, go and do it yourself. It's like, yeah. But they are fine. The officer that plays this, the main police officer that plays that is in the movie, is really good. He does his best, but he doesn't really have much material to work with. And the side characters are pretty much the same within both the book and movie, but they're just there because they need to be. And the conclusion, I won't spoil it, so I have no worries here. Obviously, the book and the movie end in a very, very, very slightly different way. Obviously, they have the same conclusion and outcome, which I won't say whether is a good thing or a bad thing. But I think that I prefer the ending of the book slightly more than the one in the movie. But I'm not saying that the movie one is bad or anything. I just feel that I prefer the book ending. So they are the things that I'm comparing between the book and the movie. What one do I prefer? I think that they are both really good. They're both worth your time. Obviously, I would start off with the book first. Read the book first, and then enjoy it and embrace it and get lost in it. And then, if you want to, watch the movie. It's very, I won't say difficult, but it can be a bit expensive to find. But if you can find it at a good price, then I would get the movie. For me, the movie is more of a companion to the book. But if you watch the movie, then read the book and you'll enjoy it more, because the book is narrated by David and he's narrating to you, the reader. Rather than the movie, he's more just there and we see it through his eyes, not through his dialogue and his speech. But they are both worth your time. They really are. So I just want to touch on elements within the movie itself, like the camera work. Now, the camera work is okay, the framing is good, and I didn't really have much to complain about it. The lighting, it seems okay. In scenes within the basement, which I believe it has no windows, but it seemed to be a really, really lit scene. I would have liked it if it was just a little bit more darker, because if there's no windows in it, and if there's just like a couple of light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, it wouldn't have been lit that brightly. So I would have just liked a bit more darkness and atmosphere. Not too dark, so you couldn't really see what was going on, but yeah, it was good. It was good. And the sound and the music, which I feel really complemented the movie itself. The music was really, really good. It knew when to be really sweet and innocent, and then when to be menacing. In fact, there was a really good scene at the start where young David, was going down into Ruth's basement, and there were all these sheets down there hanging up on lines to be dried, and he was just like down there by himself. And at the start, the music was all nice, sweet and happy and innocent, and then it kind of dissolved into something more dark and dangerous and creepy. It was more of that like smooth dissolve that was between these two contrasting elements, the sweet side and the dark side of the human nature. And yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I wasn't anticipating to like this movie as much as I did. Obviously, it's very, very uncomfortable. It really is. It's nothing that you should go into lightly. But if you're a horror fan and you don't mind to watch something that will challenge your mind, that will disturb you, that may give you nightmares, then I would definitely recommend the movie as well as the book. But if you are easily triggered by sexual assault, torture, child abuse, which we should all be disturbed by that, in some case, and in some shape or form. But if you can tolerate the subject matter of both the movie and the book, then I would definitely recommend them too. And as I just said throughout this video, I feel that it's important to read the book and watch the movie because they're based on Sylvia Likens, which was a real life girl that went through all this. It may not have been like beat for beat of what happened in the book and the movie, but what happened to Sylvia was much, much worse than whatever happened to Meg. Probably within the book and the movie combined. So I feel that it's important to read the book and watch the movie purely because that we should never forget what happened to this young, sweet girl that had her whole life in front of her and was taken viciously away from her by the deluded and twisted thoughts and beliefs of this woman that she was taken into and was supposed to be nurtured and loved by, and that love was kind of betrayed and taken, and innocence was stripped away from her. And I just think it's important, guys. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I wasn't anticipating for it to go as long as it has been, but hopefully you have enjoyed it. Let me know if you have watched the movie or if you've read the book. We can discuss them both down below in the comments if you want. And yeah, I will have this video coming out a few days after my review of the book. So if you haven't watched that video, as I said, I will have it linked down below, so please check it out. So with all that out the way, I'll see you on my next one.